Hello, hello. So, this is my very first YouTube Live, and I just want to have a little bit of a vent session about Concierge Nurse Life. I always say Concierge Nurse Life is the best life, and it is, but of course, like any life, there are going to be some stumbling blocks, some frustrations, some things that we can always learn from. So, I am Ranika Stewart. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm based in Tampa, Florida, and I am the founder of the Concierge Nurse Network and the owner. My business name is Adaptive Wellness and Recovery here in Tampa. So we provide private concierge care for clients recovering from surgery, and also we provide IV therapy. And then also inside of the clinic or my actual brick and mortar, we provide IV therapy, post-op lymphatic drainage, red light therapy, weight loss, other wellness services. So where do I begin? So today I had the unfortunate situation of having an unhappy client, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But I do know that no matter how proactive you are, no matter how much you communicate, there is always or possibly going to be a situation where you may have to deal with an unhappy client or a client complaint. So that's what I found myself in today. Unfortunately, one of my nurse contractors was caught in the middle of that, being that she showed up to see this client and the client had an expectation of getting a drip. So typically our clients can add on a drip. We have private nursing services and we have a post-op drip that a client can add to their package. And we only do one though. So when a client adds a post-op drip, they add a post-op drip. Unless they're in town, they live locally, they're in town for a few weeks. We typically don't repeat the drip. We add one drip. We definitely don't. Our protocol does not include a drip on post-op day 2. We will do one on post-op day 1 or post-op day 2, but we don't do a drip on both days. Of course, being in an outpatient setting, we have to think safety and we don't want to overload clients. So that's just our protocol and policy. Everyone who does IV therapy could be a little different. But of course, with our client, she's specifically requested 2 4-hour days of private nursing and a post-op drip add-on. But somewhere along the way, her interpretation was that the nurse would show up each day with a drip, and she only needed the drip today. She didn't need the nursing. It was a little confusing to me because she actually booked the private nursing weeks ago and only added a drip a day or two ago. So I'm not sure how she, was under the understanding or premise that she was getting a drip every day and that she was only getting a drip today. She booked private nursing initially. So with that said, it was an unfortunate situation where she had the expectation that the nurse that showed up was doing a drip. And since the nurse wasn't doing a drip because we did the drip yesterday, she was quite upset and didn't want the nursing package or hours at all. So, what do you do in a situation like that? What did I do? So, the nurse ended up calling me on site and saying that the client wanted to speak with me. So, of course, I got on the phone with the client because, in fact, I was about to call the client anyway after the nurse's first initial phone call saying that the client expected a drip. And I said, hey, I'll reach out to her to clarify that there was only one drip added and she had that drip on yesterday. So, with that said, I spoke with her. She was actually not reasonable in the sense that I couldn't get a word in. I couldn't reason with her. I pulled up her email and read verbatim to her what she booked and then repeated that to her and said, this is what you scheduled, 2 4-hour nursing days, and this is what you were booked for. So day 1 was yesterday, day 2 is today, and you added on a drip later, but you already had these nursing hours. So her perspective was, well, I don't need the nursing hours. My husband is here. There's no way we can know that. There's husbands, mothers, siblings, friends that may show up with a client, but they don't do anything to help the client. And the client still is very grateful to have our private nursing services, right? So at the time she booked it weeks ago, there's no way I could have predicted that she would feel that she didn't need that service today. Also, her not needing the service today does not change the fact that that time was allotted for her. Our nurse contractors showed up for her. She could have very well taken another job or worked elsewhere, but she carved out that time for her. So, with that said, there will be no refunds. And that is something that is outlined in my client service agreement. I had a client a few months ago that booked a package over $1,000, and he got to his room and he said, I feel great. You know what? I don't need the nursing. And he was like, I'm headed out to dinner, but no, I do not expect a refund. And I was just so grateful for that client because, yes, I still needed to pay the nurse, a few hours at least for for the fact that she designated that time. So you definitely want to be clear and communicate clearly about, if a client suddenly decides they don't need the hour, that doesn't change the preparation and you holding that date and holding that time for them, right? So that needs to be outlined. Your refund policy. I have to deal with cancellations at times. We had a hurricane last week, so a client surgery was canceled. And they actually rescheduled it, but it was a date that we didn't have available. So I refunded her, no questions asked, no problem. She said her surgery was on Labor Day. I was like, unfortunately, we don't have that date and even the next day available at this time. So I thought maybe she would change her surgery date, but she wanted to proceed. So unfortunately, we could not accommodate that. And she asked, and I said, no problem. I refunded her immediately. It's never my goal to be dishonest and keep a client's money, right? Honesty is super important to me. Integrity is very important to me. And customer service is extremely important to me. Thus, the reason when this situation happened tonight, it was so frustrating and it felt like such a letdown. So I definitely would say communicate, still communicate. I'm going to continue to communicate and communicate clearly and try to anticipate situations. Pay attention to the questions your clients ask, the concerns, because you want to be sure that you have these things outlined in your policy. I actually have had clients, so let's say they purchase a 4-hour package and they'll say, well, the nurse will get there for their after their procedure, pick them up from surgery, and they'll say, well, I only need 2 hours. Can you just come back tomorrow for 2? The answer is no. The answer is always no, because our minimum for a post-op package to start is always going to be 4 hours. And that 4 hours is not divisible into another day. Now, if they do an 8-hour package, I specify that is divisible by up to 2 days. A 12-hour package, you can divide over a max of 3 days, right? So I'm very clear about these things. And like I said, even with me already kind of knowing to be clear about things like that, this other situation still kind of popped up where the client, I think, didn't understand that private nursing and IV therapy are two separate services. Now, side note, in the email that is sent out to a client before they book, that is designated. It is, but again, unfortunately, that wasn't understood by the client. So I'm always respectful of their perspective and what they may have understood. I'm respectful of that, but that doesn't change what is in writing. So I do feel like once you communicate, put everything in writing, be very detailed and specific in your client service agreement about everything, about how the hours may be used, how the hours may be divided. We do pharmacy runs, we pick up meds, but yes, the client needs to pay. Like, we're not paying, obviously. Just everything. You really can't over communicate. And I feel like clients do appreciate. I'm in Florida, so it's that time. So I'm spraying insect repellent. And I also actually have like a little candle going. But I love sitting outside. This is kind of how I decompress. And then I'm also decompressing here. So I'm not willing to go in just because the bugs are out. I still want to be outside and decompress. So hang in there with me. Let me spread this spray on. So it is impossible to anticipate every possible situation that could occur, but again, do your best. And if you see that, like, I've had situations where clients will ask, can I just have the nurse come back? So that told me, hey, go into your service agreement and be sure that they know this up front. Now, most clients, no one had ever given us trouble about the fact that they couldn't take a 4-hour package and divide it over 2 or 3 days, but they have asked. So I knew going forward, be proactive and communicate that in advance that our minimum is 4 hours. So once that nurse arrives, she's there for 4. If for some reason you dismiss her, you paid for 4, you have 4. If you don't choose to use it, that's your choice. So, and we have clients. There are clients that are like, I'm fine, go ahead and get going. And that's okay. Maybe the nurse was there 3 hours and they're like, you know what, I'm good. Go ahead and go. And the nurse will run that by me and I'll make sure and then, go ahead and go. So that's something I've run into. Clients wanting to take maybe an 8 hour package and divide it over 10 days. I don't do that. Again, to start, our minimum is 4. I've had clients that say, I just want to book 2 hours, I just need pickup. Well, we don't just pick clients up and take them home and leave. We are nurses, we're licensed professional, so I'm not comfortable with doing that. We're not a transport service. We transport as part of our services, but we're not a transport service. So I'm very clear about yes, we will pick you up and we will take you home. However, we're also going to get you in, get you settled, get you off your feet, make sure you're taking food, fluids, your pain is controlled, etc., etc. That is the specialty of what's special about us and what we do. We don't care to just pick you up and drop you off. So you're paying for, someone to actually monitor you and be sure that you're settled in. So that's another one that has come up. They just won't transport, and we're like, I say no to that. So just a few situations that dividing hours. In this case, the client. So you can't anticipate everything, but you can definitely learn from me, and I invite you to post-op recovery boot camp because again, I'm very real, I'm very transparent. I definitely give you the good, the bad, the beautiful, as well as the ugly. It's all a part of it, and I still would not have it any other way. But just as I was sitting here, I was like, I just need to get this off my chest. I just need to talk out loud. And my husband is not here at the moment, and I just wanted, and also I always love that I can share my story and others can learn. So if you want to join me on this journey and continue to learn from me, you can connect with me on Facebook, the Concierge Nurse Network Facebook group, Instagram, the Concierge Nurse Network page, and also TikTok, the Concierge Nurse Network. And of course, be sure to subscribe here because I plan to be here more often and post more updates and more helpful videos for nurses looking to get started. So yeah, if you can relate or if you have questions, comment below. Let me know. If you're a business owner and you've kind of run into that situation, comment. But service agreements, putting things in writing, and if you need to change a policy, do it. I always call it effective immediately days. And so today was an effective immediately day. I will now, what I'm going to do differently going forward relating to this situation is I'm actually going to give them an itinerary so they know what to expect when. This particular client thought today was an IV drip and yesterday was a drip. So I'm going to actually call them the day prior, myself or my assistant, confirm everything, confirm their, packages and their hours. Their package hours start at pickup. That's something else I'm very clear about. They don't start when we get to their house. As soon as that nurse arrives on site to pick them up, your package has begun. And then we're going to spell that out. Again, it is in the agreement, but we're going to reinforce and from there just give them a itinerary, so we'll review it over the phone, and then when we hang up we're going to send that email saying, hey, it was great talking, we're excited to see you tomorrow, and here's a summary of our conversation. So I've already let my assistant know that effective immediately this is what we'll be doing, and of course she's on board too, which is great. This is the reason I don't quit, because even with the frustrations, I have so much support, so much. I'm super blessed. I have the support and the team that is just amazing and exactly what I need. So I can go another day. I can do this. It just was a little disheartening and frustrating. So yeah, we will be doing that, and we'll be very regimented as far as, okay, once this happens, then now this needs to happen, and when it's the day before surgery, this is what we need to be doing. So you need to have those processes and protocols outlined and defined, and this is something I talk about in detail at Post-Op Recovery Bootcamp. With that said, Post-Op Recovery Bootcamp is coming up September 23rd and 24th. Day 1 is Start Your Post-Op Concierge. Day 2 is IV Therapy. You can attend one days or both days. If you need the link, comment below. I will send it to you. I'm also going to put it in the description or in the comments if it will allow me, because again, this is my first YouTube live, so I'm still learning these things. So yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me vent, and yeah, welcome, or I hope you're out there enjoying the concierge nurse life, or I look forward to working with you and welcoming you to the concierge nurse life. Take care and bye-bye.